exploring the Martian surface than roaming around Sidonia itself.
Always nice to kick back in the broken sphere after a long day.
I wish there was something more to do.
Did you know Deimos makes the majority of the ships for the UC Navy? If you ask me, that's a hell of a lucrative contract.
Be a source of support for the United Colony.
Is that really her? Hadrian.
Percival. My God, look at you. You're an old man now.
You're no hassling yourself anymore, Major. Our friend here showed me your sample. Suffice it to say...
Not here. Let's talk somewhere more private. Lou said we could use the back.
Was that Percival walking through there with you? Oh, glad to see he's still kicking.
Lou gave me the abridged version of what went down. I can't thank you enough for taking care of all that.
Makes two of us.
I hope it ultimately didn't end up being too much trouble. That's certainly not what I was expecting you'd have to go through. But thank you. I'm just glad you both came through intact. So, were you two able to get that workup together?
Got it right here. That sample? It's an exact match for the ones from Londinian.
Londinian. That's exactly what I was afraid of.
Not thrilled to be the bearer of that kind of news. That's for damn sure. So tell me you've got some kind of plan for that workup.
Well, right now, we've got more questions than answers. So I've been trying to figure out what it's gonna take to access our old Terramorph data.
Good place to start. What'd you find?
It's in the archives.
The Armistice Archives? Doesn't that mean we'd be dealing with the Cabinet? And the Freestar Collective? And House Varun somehow? Guess we can kiss that approach goodbye.
I didn't think the Cabinet would be willing to hear us out either. But I called in some favors. They've agreed to hear us out on two conditions. One, they want to see this analysis you two have procured. And two, they want to discuss what happened on Tau Ceti. With both of us. It can be a daunting experience. Which is why I wanted to make sure, before you agreed to anything, we gave you the whole truth. Percival and I, we're not just researchers. We were military scientists, ran a division of the UC together that deployed aliens on the battlefield as weapons.
Place I was hiding out. That was our unit's home base.
After some early fits and starts at other facilities, the place eventually became the heart of UC xeno-warfare. A practice that's been banned ever since the armistice went into effect almost 20 years ago. And the UC military cut us loose for what we'd done. Oh. Well, but it was during that assignment that the UC asked us to explore deploying terramorphs on the battlefield. The project never got off the ground, but the data our team gathered is now sitting in the archives, along with all the other information banned after the Colony War. Under the watchful eye of monitors from all the galactic factions still participating in regular politics. But if we can convince the Cabinet to help us access that data, it'll give us the tools we need to decipher what exactly this sample might mean. And hopefully, how to prevent more attacks like the one that spawned it. All right. I'm gonna go get this work up into the Cabinet's hands. I'll meet you out front of Mast and...
Good luck. You two are gonna...
Why are you bothering to carry all that junk?
require my assistance.
You need something?
Attention vessel, you have entered restricted space. Please respond. Fine. Consider yourself warned. You touch down on that planet, no one's coming after you.
Dad, do you think Solomon Coe would have liked me?
Sure. Everybody likes you, don't they?
Do you think he would have liked you?
Well, if you listen to your grandpa, Solomon Coe would have given me a good whooping. But I think you would like my difference.
I will never get tired
This
of
is
that.
United Colony Space. Maintain current course while we scan for contraband. Scan.
Let's pop into Outland while we're here, and see if Joe has anything useful to add to our arsenal.
Captain! Over here! The workup's in the cabinet's hands. They said they'll call for us once they've gotten to properly review it. But listen, I know I should have been more forthcoming about who I was earlier. So, in the interest of full disclosure, there's one more thing you ought to know before we head up there. My relationship with the UC. It's more complicated than it might seem at first glance. The UC's actually the only reason I'm here in the first place. I am a clone of a man named Francois Sanon. One time, they called him Ve Victus. Woe to the defeated, in Old Earth Latin. A title he earned. The program I was a part of, it was the UC's attempt to create a new, secure the leadership of the UC military for generations. I'm getting there. The man I was cloned from, my father, was executed for acts he committed during the war. Freestar Collective, and the things he did, well, they're a part of the reason the UC and Freestar. So my involvement, it could be another obstacle they throw at us up there. I really appreciate you saying that. I just thought you deserved to know, considering how much... You know, while we've got a second, was there anything else we needed to discuss? Or if you've got any last-minute business. No telling how long the cabinet's gonna keep us waiting. Then I guess it's just a map.
The cabinet meeting is about to begin. All parties, please proceed to the cabinet chambers.
Ah, welcome. You must be the captain Hadrian mentioned in her report. You have our thanks for the risks you've...
Oh, I'm sure she did.
Yes, well, precisely how urgent is what I hope we'll determine here today. So now, we have two petitioners here making a surprising request. Access to the UC Xeno Warfare Team's Terramorph data, currently housed in the Armistice archives. A request which will require not just this body's agreement, but that of all three Armistice... Now, Captain, we've all read Hadrian's report on the subject, but we have yet to hear from you. Perhaps you could summarize for the Cabinet what it is you see as the goal of this endeavor.
That's quite the leap, Captain. Madam President, I object to the very premise of this meeting. While no one would argue that what happened on Tau Ceti was anything less than a tragedy, Terramorph attacks are not some sudden new threat on the horizon. They've been happening for generations. To demand we hand over banned archival knowledge and possibly upset the balance of seems at best panic. And at worst, a power grab by the daughter of a bloodthirst.
I would remind the chief diplomat who he's speaking to. If it's my father you're looking to address, you're welcome. I would also ask, how many deaths the Cabinet requires? Because if tragedies like Tau Ceti are just prelude to more attacks, I have no doubt you'll get the body count you require.
Let's keep this civil, shall we? And while there should be no doubt the preservation of life stands paramount among this body's duties, Chief Yassine has a point. Will a single attack, however troubling, be sufficient to convince the other factions to grant us access to what they no doubt consider weapon data? I don't think it's enough. Perhaps you can help, Captain. As the one who actually collected the sample in question, did this Terramorph seem at all alarming to you?
I can second, Madam President. What I saw from the report reinforces the idea that this was an anomalous spawning. The other factions are as at risk as we are.
Huh. A fine point, Dr. Kulkarni. So then, Captain, given the discussion now and the information you've been privy to thus far, if you were in our position, would you grant the request made to open the archives?
I'm uncomfortable opening the archives without gathering more information. However, if that's the path forward...
I'm inclined to agree.
As am I.
I suppose that does get to the heart of the point, doesn't it? Very well. I consent.
You and I are in agreement, Chief Diplomat. So, if there are no other objections, I believe we can agree to give our full... What was that?
Attention. An incident has occurred. Facility lockdown engaged.
Incident? Chief Sarkin, what's happening?
There's been an attack at the spaceport. Terramorphs.
Terramorphs. More attacks. Just as predicted.
Good God.
Damn it. They're here. Now.
There must be another explanation. The creatures evaded our scanners somehow.
There will be plenty of time for conjecture later. Chief Sarkin, order the evacuation of the spaceport and have your men contain the things, but do it discreetly. The last thing we need is a citywide panic.
Yes, ma'am.
Admiral Logan, the local barracks can provide support?
I'll make the order myself. Nearest anti-Xeno squad, though, is off-world. Going to take a while to bring them in.
Well then, we'll have to make do with the tools we've got. You two, we can't risk those things getting out of the spaceport. I want you both on the next train there. We'll let them know you're coming and that you've dealt with these things before. Now go show them how it's done.
I served my time in the fleet.
Captain, I'm right behind
But were
you.
I a younger
Let's get down
man, I'd be back out there now.
You! The EM rifle, grab it! Now!
Stop! We're trying to help you!
Please! I can't stop!
There's a huge difference between being prepared and carrying too much.
Thank you for what you did. We didn't want to hurt them.
The way those people were acting, I've seen this before. They were under the Terramorph's influence, weren't they?
I don't know. They were down at the port, and we'd tried to restrain them, get them on the train to get them out of harm's way, but some of the other officers down there, we couldn't restrain them fast enough. They just started firing on us. People we knew. They went berserk.
Pheromonic projection. Some Terramorphs, they can induce this fog. It affects everyone differently, but some people just lose control, turn against everyone around them, even if they don't. You kill the morph, you break the hold. But this means we're gonna need to be real careful. Let's do it.
Nat's unlocked. Please.
Port District. All citizens are required to proceed to the nearest shelter.
You might back up! Don't just stand there!
Wait, officer? Are you and this woman experts? Get whatever we can get right now. We've got the remaining creatures locked down on the landing pad. We're barely holding our perimeter. They said you've done this before. Well, one fire team to spare and whatever supplies you need, but I can't risk them taking over any more of my men. Put those things down and do it fast. We'll hold them as best we can.
Heard you might be looking for some backup. You say the word, we're out there on your 6.
You two have any experience with terramorphs before?
Only the brief they just gave on the way here, but we know how to handle pressure.
Surviving a full-on mental assault isn't the same as keeping your cool in a firefight. Might make...
We're not UC security. You don't need to... Roger that. We're on you. Anyone nosing around here has gotta have a death wish.
If these things reached the populated areas of the city, we would have had an absolute massacre on our hands. Well, I suppose they're not going to need it anymore.
guess they weren't kidding about you two. Universe put the right people in the right place. Certainly.
I don't want to think what would have happened if you two hadn't been here.
Just glad we could rise to the occasion. Captain, we should report back to the President. Let her know the Terramorphs have been dealt. Take care of yourself, Sergeant.
Attention. The spaceport has been secured. Safety precautions remain in place. Please wait for the all-clear signal before exiting your homes. That is all.
By the way, Captain, Sergeant...
That's a relief to hear. Captain? Hadrian? It would appear that the Cabinet owes you our thanks for what you did for the city today. As well as an apology. Your concerns about the Terramorphs, well, consider them validated.
Thank you, ma'am.
Of course. I only wish... Now, today's events have only clarified. You will have our full support in collecting the Terramorph data from the archives, as well as a subsequent investigation into the nature of these attacks. But to accomplish those goals, we're going to need the right people in the right... As such, the Cabinet has authorized me to reinstate you, Hadrian. As soon as we've got the data in hand, we want you investigating these attacks and how to stop them.
Yes.
Excellent. But as you've both made clear, for such an investigation to succeed first, we're going to need someone to convince the Freestar Collective and House Varun to play ball. Someone who knows precisely the sorts of dangers the colonies and all the galaxy are facing right now. The Cabinet wants you, Captain, to be that representative. We do. In exchange, we're willing to fast-track your citizenship. So, will you? I'm glad to hear it. Now, we, of course, won't be sending Deputy McIntyre in the Office of Interstellar Affairs. You should be able to find her in her... And on behalf of the whole of the United...
The next time Terramorphs rear their ugly heads, UC is going to be ready.
Attacks. They can't happen again.
These orders. A Vanguard captain. You... Yes, sir. I'll make sure they get what they require. That must make you my Vanguard captain. Welcome to Interstellar Affairs. I'm Deputy Chief Diplomat McIntyre, Chief Yassine's second-in-command. I heard you were instrumental in protecting the city from the attack. You have my gratitude. I was also informed that you gave quite the presentation to the Cabinet. Chief Yassine wants you to know the Interstellar Affairs Office is fully committed to this endeavor, accessing the Terramorph data and beyond. We're going to do everything in our power to make sure you have the tools you need, and that means first getting you into the archives. It was a mutual agreement, but I suppose you touch on the spirit of it. So, you also know then that it was originally managed by the three. Access to the archives is only granted in cases of dire emergency, and requires a one-time UC. Now, the UC is already on board, so that means we'll need to convince two people. The ambassador. Get them both, and you'll have your data. But
I couldn't agree more. Both ambassadors have reasons they won't. Now, I'll provide guidance on how we believe you can acquire each code, but
And I do mean cooperate. Threats and violence are off the table, though that doesn't mean we can't get creative.
But it does mean we need to get you up to speed on who you're dealing with. Who do you want to start with? Ambassador Radcliffe of Freestar? Or Captain.
Ah, the good Ambassador Radcliffe.
If Sam is any example of how stubborn the Freestar people can be, then...
Now, officially, our office is
Use your experiences as a member of the military.
And who knows? Maybe that'll work. But my suspicion is we're going to have to rely...
Certainly. See, good diplomacy is all about the careful application of
UC Intelligence has a recording device planted in the ambassador's living quarters, which we suspect...
But getting caught trespassing is a quick way.
So, if you are going to try and access the device...
Now, we recovered some intel we believed, but there's also a disgruntled staff member you might be able to pump.
All right. Here, your diplomatic ID.
And take these. Chief Yassine wanted you to have...
Ambassador Balmore. When the rest of House Varun retreated into he's since lent his support to a small number of though claiming to know how a member of House Varun thinks is a... It does. We're not 100% sure about... his public appearances were always rare. But scans of the facility show life signs.
Your task is to find him and kindly...
I have no doubt.
Now, the embassy front door isn't an option, but our spies have stated there's a... Here, this device should get you all the way down to the embassy. And fair warning, we received a report that alarms...
Now, if you have additional questions or require clearance for a new... I'd suggest you start with Ambassador Radcliffe. Be smart out there, Captain.
Okay. Hello.
Cherry is by far the best flavor.
Contrary to what you...
Ah, if it isn't my favorite... Yep. Something just came in. Security on site handled it, but now one of them is saying the other... Problem is, he left without identifying the perp, so I need you to talk to Roy. Thank you, Captain. Let me know when the... See you later.
By the way, Captain, Sergeant Huey is looking for you.
You will be scanned as you enter the city.
can I do for you?
For God's sake, drop some of... There's something I need to talk to you about. Remember our last conversation when you told me the artifacts made your mind and body feel out of sync? Well, it got me thinking. So I dove into our archives and started looking through Constellation's older journal entries. Just because I wasn't familiar with the experience you described doesn't mean the same might have been true for my predecessor. Really? I'm surprised that I haven't. After reading those journals, all of the pleasant memories of... Oh yes, absolutely. I didn't mean to. Aja was the one that taught me the ropes at Constellation, and... Now that you mention it, you're probably right. Honestly, it wasn't so much what Aja... Exactly. For me, there was nothing quite like Oh, I find that sort of... I'll take that as a compliment. You know, all this talk about Aja... No, she retired. Come to think of it, if we're ever out that far... Well, I don't expect you to be... You see, it's clear that we should... Good. Anyway, that's all I had to discuss for now.
You will be scanned as you enter the city.
Dr. Roy, how's the investigation going? Find our pup? See you later, Captain.
I was hoping your timing is most fortuitous. I'm on the... You have no idea how... Of course, now that I understand more about what's going on, it seems plain as day. And yet I never would have imagined. The tertiary trunks have also liquefied their interiors. They're listening. It means it is ready. I believe this tree is sending vibrations out over massive distances and expecting to detect sympathetic vibrations in return. As of yet, there's been no response. My thoughts precisely. Now, as of yet, there has been no response. While it can't be ruled out that the intended recipient of these messages, over 100 years ago, the United Colonies and the Freestar Collective emerged from the Narian War. As a gesture of peace and goodwill, a near-literal olive branch. Nice. Short-sighted and ill. Of course you can't just uproot a native species and plunk it down on some other planet. Clearly no exobotanists were consulted ahead of time. The end result was clever, but no, not necessarily. The tree died, yes, but branches were kept. At least, if I had that branch, I could get DNA samples and then using various... We could then broadcast that response and hopefully calm down our... The museum in Aquila City is under this... I don't know anything about her, but all right, off you go.
Well, that was fun. Now what?
Dad, have you ever tried
Not in a long time, sweetheart. Not since...
What was it like?
Terrible, terrible. It was terrible. Apogee complete. We're in orbit.
Captain. Greetings.
Welcome aboard the UC Vigilance. Did you have any questions before I escort you to the commander? Understood? If you'd... So, you're the vanguard that took down that terramorph on Tau Ceti. You've made quite an impression around here. Everyone upstairs is talking about it. Damn. That must have been one hell of a firefight. I almost regret missing out on all the fun. Of course, we don't normally see that kind of action on the Vigilance, but we have our moments. All right, Vanguard. Take the lift up to Ops. Commander Akande should be waiting for you. Good luck.
Pardon.
Excuse me. Hello.
Yes.
Can we try and focus on the matter at hand, please? Ah, there you are. Commander Kibwe Kande, UC SysDev. Glad to have you aboard. I was beginning to think you were having second thoughts about Commander Tuala's offer. Excellent. Then let's get right to it, shall we? This is the Operations Center of the UC Vigilance. SysDev's nerve center, dedicated to the destruction of the Crimson Fleet. Which is precisely why we're taking a move. We need eyes and ears inside the Crimson Fleet. Someone who can feed us in. The catch is that you can't just knock on their front door and ask for an application. I do. Our intelligence has managed to find a possible opening into the Crimson Fleet. She works for the Trade Authority in Sidonia. So you'll be using a container of Aurora we've loaded on your ship to get her attention. You'd better hope so. Sersha won't be easy to dupe. Once you bluff your way into the Crimson Fleet, then the operation proceeds. That's where my second-in-command, Lieutenant Gilly, eager to get going. Good. Remember, this entire operation rests on your ability to... I wouldn't expect any less. Look, as an undercover operative for UC SysDev, allow yourself to stray too far off the... That's what I wanted to hear. Anyway, it's time to hand you over to... Now. Dismissed.
Hey. All right. We don't have a lot of time, so I need you to listen up. While you're working undercover, it's imperative that you gather as much evidence as possible. If you find any records that look suspicious or incriminating, you bring it to me. Is that understood? Well, you better. Commander Akande's entire operation is I want data slates, computer downloads, handwritten notes. Hell, I'll take anything. For the sake of the settled systems, that minor skirmish you had with them on Vectera was nothing compared to the death. If you've seen what I've seen, you know. That's all we're asking. Oh, before you go, Commander Akande has authorized a credit disbursement for... It's not generous, it's motivation. All right. We've loaded a container of Aurora into your ship's cargo hold. We've cleared your ship for launch. Proceed to Sidonia. That should do it. We'll be here if you need us.
Pleasant change of scenery.
Read any good books lately?
Thruster's free.
Grav jump complete.
Don't say we didn't try to warn you.
Board's all green. Successful job.
Security, prepare to be scanned for contraband. And complete. Enjoy your stay in New Atlantis.
Star Station LO868. You need the eye?
Board is clear. We're docked.
Good day, Captain.
We got a rook on deck. Good to see Constellation getting some fresh blood.
Glad you two finally have a chance to meet.
Wish I could have been down at the lodge to see the artifacts come together. But I got a little lost peeking through the eye. Probably would have just gotten annoyed at being bothered. I'll catch a smile at our next big revelation. You know there's more to come. Now, this station, the Eye, rigged up for deep space scans. Barrett and Sarah teased out the signs of where our artifacts could be hiding after we caught our second one. But the data takes a slow ride along the Sea of Light. Years or decades between us and the fringes of space without a grav drive. You won't be the only constellation out there. Andreja and Matteo are both following up on scans themselves. Matteo went out recently, but Andreja, it's been a while. Hate to pull a worried old man act on you, but...
Yes, indeed. Stop worrying so much, Vladimir. If she's out there, we'll find her.
She should be at one of the 2 sites I've marked on your star map. Can take care of herself, but we all need backup sometimes. Anyway, hopefully you'll be catching Fortune's smile and we'll have some more art. Happy hunting. Jaw the words another time then.
Moving.